And we'll start with David Thurton, CBC News.
Hi, Mr. Singh. Good morning. Happy Easter.
Thank you.
First question I just want to ask you is about, we were door knocking yesterday with your candidate, Ms. Collins, and one of the things that you were talking to some people at the door was about the NDP, New Democrats, on the island stop Conservatives, and if you want to stop Conservatives, you were telling voters you need to vote for New Democrats. And you also saw a sign that kind of had that similar flavor. So in the past, the NDP hasn't really benefited from strategic voting, but it seems that you're calling for that now. So are you calling for strategic voting in this election?
Well, I'm calling for folks who are worried about Conservatives to vote for your incumbent New Democrat. If you're worried about Conservatives and you're worried about them getting in, vote for a New Democrat to beat Conservatives. Here on the island, that's who beats Conservatives. And for folks who are worried about Mark Carney and the fact that he is proposing massive cuts, that's something you're worried about? Send a New Democrat to Ottawa. We're going to fight back against those cuts. No matter who the government is, if you're worried about cuts to healthcare, vote for a New Democrat. If you're worried about Conservatives winning, vote for your New Democrat incumbent. If you're worried about having someone that's going to be on your side or not, you know New Democrats will always be on your side. Vote for a New Democrat.
That sounds like you're calling for strategic voting.
Well, I'm calling for people to vote according to what they care about most. And if they want to stop a Conservative here on Vancouver Island, the best way to do that is to vote for New Democrat. If people are worried about, you live in downtown Toronto and you're worried about Mark Carney's plans to cut the things you need, vote for New Democrat. Send a New Democrat to Ottawa and we'll fight back and make sure that no government cuts the things that you need. Wherever you are, if you're worried about who's going to be on my side in this really uncertain time, lots of anxiety, lots of fear, lots of worry, if you are concerned that you're not sure who's going to be on my side, vote for a New Democrat and we're going to fight for you.
Next, Rachel Ellis, CTV News.
Good morning.
Good morning.
You're spending this weekend in the West Coast hitting up ridings that the NDP currently hold. Is that because you're concerned they could be at risk?
We want to spend our time in beautiful parts of our country where we can let Canadians know that they've got someone on their side. And so in many elections, we spent time here on Vancouver Island. You can understand why if you're anywhere else in the country in April, you want to spend time in Vancouver Island. But more importantly, we really want folks to know that they've got an important choice in this election. And so for folks on the island who've been feeling a lot of worry and anxiety, I know that you're worried about Pierre Poilievre and the cuts that Conservatives are proposing. And I know more and more people are telling me, well, Mark Carney's talking a lot about cuts as well. Vote for a New Democrat if you're worried. We will beat Conservatives and we'll be a strong voice for you in Ottawa.
So speaking of Mark Carney, yesterday he was telling a crowd in Peterborough to think about what the Liberals could do with a strong mandate. You've shown and have talked about in recent days what the NDP could do in a minority situation. But what do you see as your party's role if Canadians elect a majority government next week?
Well, ultimately, we know that Canada works best when one party doesn't have all the power. And we have lots of examples of that. We have lots of proof of that. Think about anything that you're proud of at the federal level. People are proud of our healthcare system, proud of pensions, old age security. Each one of those things were brought in when New Democrats were strong in Ottawa and were able to fight and force the government to deliver. Liberals never deliver on their own. If you love and believe in the idea of pharmacare, well, the Liberals would never have delivered it. They promised it for 3 decades and never moved on it until we forced them to do it in the recent minority government. So what we've seen is Ottawa works best not just when one party doesn't have all the power, but when you send strong New Democrats to Ottawa to fight for you. And so I would ask Canadians, if you want to see healthcare expanded and defended, vote for New Democrat. If you want to see pharmacare move forward, Mark Carney's already said he's not interested in expanding it. He's not made that commitment. I will fight to expand it. Vote for New Democrat. If you want to see food prices come down, and that's something that you're worried about because food prices continue to rise, we will fight for bringing in a price cap on food essentials and bring down your groceries. Vote for a New Democrat.
Can you do that in a majority government?
Well, ultimately, Canadians are going to choose the outcome of this election. That's going to be a Canadian's choice. I want them to know, for all the things that I hear people are worried about, the best way to achieve those things is to vote for a New Democrat.
My second question is for Laurel, if that's all right.
Yeah.
This riding of Victoria has been held by the NDP since 1988, I believe. Victoria is one of those ridings that the Liberals are eyeing. polling suggests a big chunk of voters have decided to move from the NDP to the Liberals. Are you worried that your seat is at risk?
Well, what we've been seeing in this campaign is more people than ever requesting lawn signs, more than in my past two campaigns. We've had tons of people coming in wanting to volunteer. We've had young people taking time out of their busy lives to volunteer on the campaign, and it's because they know what's at stake. This is a critically important election, and for the past 2 decades, year after year, election after election, it has been New Democrats who beat Conservatives in Victoria. And so people have been coming out to support our campaign, and I'm so grateful to this community for sending New Democrats, not only because on Vancouver Island, that's who stops Conservatives, because they know that if they send a New Democrat to Ottawa, they will defend what matters most to this community.
Is it critical for the NDP, though?
This election is critical for our country and for the NDP, I think, for everyone. Right now, we are facing huge threats from the South. People are very worried about what Pierre Poilievre would mean for this country. And here on Vancouver Island, people are coming out to support New Democrats because they know that's who stops Conservatives and that's who fights to keep Canada, Canada.
No, you should definitely not put all your eggs in one basket. We've been taught this our whole life, folks. We know that you don't do that. And in this election, that totally applies. Continuing with the beautiful egg metaphor. Thank you for doing that. Yeah, you shouldn't put all your eggs in one basket. You shouldn't put all your power in one party. And we know that that's just how our country has worked best. All the great things in our country have happened when one party doesn't have all the power, and particularly at the same time when New Democrats are strong. So vote for New Democrats who are going to fight for the things that you hold dear and defend those things.
Michael John, for real, Michael John Lowe, Times columnist.
Are you going to be campaigning further up Vancouver Island this election? You're calling for people to vote for incumbent NDPs, and if polls are to be believed, several MPs up island are fighting for their political life. Are you going to show up, for example, in Nanaimo or Port Alberni to shore up support for Lisa Marie Barron, Gord Johns, etc.?
Yeah, we're going to go up to Duncan today and then onwards to Nanaimo. And so wherever you are on the island, if you want to stop Conservatives, vote New Democrat. It is the surefire way. The best way to stop Conservatives on the island is to vote New Democrat. And at the same time, the best way to ensure you've got someone that's going to fight to defend the things that you hold dear. If you care about universal public health care and you don't want to see cuts at the federal level, vote for a New Democrat. If you want to see prices come down and stop corporate grocery stores from ripping you off, vote for a New Democrat. For the things that matter most to people, if you send a New Democrat, use your power and vote for a New Democrat, we will fight for you and defend you.
So is this a call for strategic voting on the island?
This is a call for people on the island who want to stop Conservatives to vote New Democrat. This is a call for people across the country who are worried about the cuts of both Mark Carney and Pierre Poilievre, both who are planning massive cuts. You want someone that's going to fight back against those cuts, vote for a New Democrat.